Hello, Alan.
Greetings, everybody.
Hey guys.
Hey, Bud, Nick, Julie, Mark.
Hello.
Hello.
Morning, all.
Greetings. Mike, did you get an email from me yesterday?
I did. I just opened up my computer and I saw it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
You bet. No problem. Just making sure I had the right address.
You did.
Good show. Zeno, welcome. Ralph, good to see you. Bud, we were unable to connect yesterday. Do you have a program by any chance or a topic?
Well, it's sort of a round table. I was hoping that people had brought some pictures or had something to do. I do have something I can talk about, but
Okay.
Not interested in really making it a didactic all the time.
Understood. Well,
Anybody have a picture they having a problem with or anything to start with? Nothing.
perfect pictures across the board. Wonderful.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll open it up with a few things to discuss, I guess, but
Well, I have a
if we're
brief.
not going to bring pictures, then I'm not sure how this is going to work. Yeah.
Oh, it'll work fine. I've got plenty of bad pictures. I will actually dig out a couple of bad pictures while you're making your announcements, and then I'd like just a couple of minutes to make an announcement myself.
Shall I start off with a share?
Yeah, sure.
First off, does anybody know anything about depth map masking?
Interesting. No.
All righty then, let's find out more about it. See what we can do with it. Something new to play with. Let's see. Let's go into Photoshop maybe. And let's start off down here, I guess. So in Photoshop, there is sort of a new feature that is coming online in the neural filters. And it allows you to make a depth map. And how in the world is a depth map useful for cleaning up this bug that is straight out of Zareen? And you've seen this guy before, that's why it's back. We did masking for a while and showed you some of the things I thought would work. And the question is, can we use a depth map as a mask? And would it be useful? So I kind of got in there and played with it a little bit this week to see what was going on and thought maybe I could give you a look-see. So if you look over on the right-hand side in the place where the layers are, you'll see that I have a second layer that's, just a copy of the first. And I always make it into a smart object, just my habit. And I haven't done anything else. So let's go and make us a neural filter and see what happens. Does that sound all right? I'm going to move this down out of the way, maybe. All right, we go up to the top under filters and neural filters. Yeah, right there. See it? And when we open that, we get this list over on the right side. And you have to, if you have the little cloud picture, you have to download it. But once it's downloaded, like my depth blur, you have to see it's in beta, but you have to turn it on. And then you start getting this thing over here that shows up. I'm going to move you guys over here. And so we have this little thing. And most of the strength I find is up at the top. You can do a focus distance, which means how far into the picture do you want your focus to go? And the focal range is how wide a slice of in focus do you really want? Or you can just focus on the subject. If you click on this, it'll focus on the subject. And how do we know what's focused? Well, you come down to this bottom little box that says output depth map only. And when you click on that, you get something that looks like this. So in this particular instance, it's sort of given us a crude selection of this gizmo. So let's turn that off, come back up to the top. there's another thing that you can do. It says click to edit focal point. So if I want just the eyeball, if I click on that eyeball, you'll see that everything is blurred out except where the eyeball is. The front feet are blurred out. So there's a plane of focus that you can create right through the thing. And if you want to make it broader, you just increase your focus range, and it keeps adding thickness to your focus slice, if you would. So you can see now that I've got some focus here almost all the way through the bug. If I back off, takes it a second to do its thing. Back off even more. And we're starting to lose a little, that's blur strength. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong line here. Let's do this way. So you can see the eyeballs in focus. The antenna that's in the foreground is out of focus. The antenna in the background is out of focus. And my plane of focus basically is through the eyeball. So I can change my focus
What
distance.
is the orientation of the plane of focus?
I assume it's parallel to the viewer.
Okay.
You know, in the screen, basically, I don't know that you can change the angle at this point. But if I wanted the focus distance to be, say, back between the eyes, I could take it and put my little, I'm over here on the little picture at the right upper corner. I'm going to click right between the eyeballs. And you can see that the forehead is in focus. The eye is out of focus. If I want to increase my focal range, I could probably bring the eyeballs back into focus. There's part of the eyeball. There's the whole eyeball. So at this point in time, I've got the forehead in focus. I've got the whiskers, they're starting to fall off in focus on both sides. So
one application for this would be to temper the cutoff when you're doing a partial stack.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Exactly. It's going to make it very easy to do where it doesn't look so abrupt.
Right, right.
Okay,
Nice.
but what I want to try to do first off is to see if he can help me clean up stuff. That'd be kind of cool, right? Like a mask. So let's see what we can do here. So let's just go and find us, let's see what's looking like on our output here. So you can see the blackest part is the in focus part because I chose right between the eyeballs, and you can see everything else falls off sort of in this posterized looking pattern.
Can you change the number of zones?
I'm sorry?
Can you change the number of zones?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know that I can do that.
In the manual version, that's, you know, not the AI version,
Yep.
I think you can.
Okay, I don't know where that is. If you know where it is, please tell me.
I don't know where in the AI version. I've never played with this one.
Yeah. So this is the only thing I've played with. So I apologize if there's another one, but this is the AI version that is doing this sort of a thing. So let's just go up, and for the sake of it, let's just choose a focus subject to make it easy. Down at the very bottom, it says output. You can output it as a new layer or smart filter, new document, whatever. I suggest a new layer for the reasons you'll see soon. If I say okay, where's my, that's not what it's supposed to look like. Hang on. Let's try that again. Let's go back into my neural filter. I must have forgot to say okay. Happens. So we'll just focus on the subject. And we're going to output as a new layer. And now I've got the blue OK mark. When I click on that, well, it's failing. It's not supposed to look like that. Let's see. One more try. See what I'm doing wrong. Filter, neural filter. Focus on subject. Output depth map only. New layer and OK. Yay, it did it finally. You can see it here.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can't do really is make a good selection. If I try to make a selection out of this image, which you should be able to do with command click or control click, I'll show you what happens. When you do it, let's say I want to add it to a curve, it only gives you a white mask. It doesn't give you anything.
It didn't select, it selected the whole frame. Can you use quick select to select the mask?
Right. I was just showing you, if you click on the whole thing, it gives you the whole frame. So I'm showing you what mistake not to do.
Oh, okay.
So what you've got now is you have to go in and select a subject. So if you go up to the top under select and you, or select, there you go, select subject, it's going to pick out, the gray thing here.
Right, right.
But if we want to work on the gray thing, that's not what we want to do. We'd like to work on the background because that's what we're trying to get rid of stuff on. So I'm going to invert my selection. I can do it with keyboard. In my case, it's Shift, Command, and I. I'm not sure about the PC. I think it may be Control, Shift, and I. But now my background is selected. So now if I make a curve, you can see that my mask came across as it did here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so now then, if I hide that other layer, the gray layer, I'm back to seeing what's below it. So now as we change the darkness of this curve, let's take a look at some of the haziness here. So I'm going to blow this up a little bit. And so as we make it darker, you can see that the hairs kind of clean up a little. Okay. There's another way to do it. We can also take the white point and pull it down. And as we pull that white point down, all of that stuff starts to disappear. Now, you're not going to get rid of all of it, but let's just say we want to get rid of a lot of it. All right, so we're going to take this. We're just saying we're getting rid of some of it, but we know we want those white hairs back. So we do that with the blend if. You come over to the light gray area on the layers where it's blank and you double click and this pops up. Now, as we start to protect the white, we're going to move this to the left and you'll see that all those hairs can kind of come back and all that stuff comes back. You see what's coming back? Okay. So I'm going to split this. You do that with the Option key. And I'm going to pull this down something like this. So I've got the hairs, but I don't want the fuzzy around it. So let's just get rid of as much fuzzies as we can. And we end up with something like this. I'm just going to say, okay, I'm going to turn it on and off so you can see what we got rid of. Can you appreciate that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What is substantially different from using any other selection tool and creating a mask?
I'm going to get into that.
Okay.
You're asking my questions too soon.
Sorry.
Give me a second. No, but I just want to show you how you can clean up a bug. And then I'm going to go into some landscape stamps. I'm going to show you different things on how this particular modality can be used potentially. Yes.
On the settings for this, can we keep going a bit more with sort of pushing out that sort of fuzziness in the background?
Yep. Once again, you're a step ahead of me.
Sorry. I hoped I was about where we needed to be. All right.
Give me a second. I'm getting there. But you've got all the right questions. And I promise I'll address it. So that's as much as this particular thing can do. But what you want to do, of course, is to clean it up. And just as a matter of review, I want to show you how to clean up a little bit of the rest of it. Again, we're going to use blend if in a moment, but I'm just going to put up an empty layer. I'm going to change the blend mode to darken. I'm going to use a paintbrush, and I am going to make a smaller paintbrush. And what I want to do is to choose some of this background color because we don't know that it's pure black. So if I hold down my Option key, I'm not sure what that is on the PC, and you see how it turns into an eyedropper?
Mm-hmm.
And if you click on that, it loads that in as your foreground color. So at this point in time, I'm going up to flow. I have opacity at 100%. And I'm going to just take my flow up to 100% just to show you what's going to happen here. And I'm going to paint out this area right here. Okay, 100%. Takes it all away. But we're going to protect the hairs. How are we going to do that? Yeah, we're going to do it with blend diff. And so we're just going to pull this pair down until we see everything start to come back. Somewhere in here is where our target is. And I'm going to split it at this point. I'm going to take one of them down south here toward the left. And I'm going to bring the other one down a bit. Somewhere right about in there. And I might can protect some of the blacks or darks. Let's see if I can do that by bringing this one up just a hair. Maybe bringing this one up just a hair. So right in there, we've gotten rid of almost all of the stuff around the hairs, with the hair still being protected. Let's see if I can get it a
Pretty
little
nice.
bit better. Okay, so once we do that, now we have a brush that we can use anywhere. So if I come over here and start to paint, you know, it works. So you see that it doesn't work completely. But if I take this thing down, let's say I take it down to 25% flow, or maybe even less. Let's go to say 10% or so, 10%. If I want to now, I can use this as a darkening feature. See this area right here below the eye? So I can come in here and darken some of those darks individually without having to worry about darkening down any of the hairs. Can you appreciate that? I'll turn it on and
up
off
just
so
a
you
bit,
can
bud.
see it. See what I've done?
This is doing both, Bud, isn't it? This is doing like a selection of the bug to the background and allowing you to sort of darken the bug itself, all with the same layer and tool, isn't it?
What it's doing is allowing me to darken anything that is lighter than, I put constraints on it with the blend diff. So the brush is now using those constraints. So if you look down at this foreground leg at the bottom, say 6 o'clock, if I start to paint around those hairs, they get much less. If I come in here and increase my flow to say, 46%, watch what happens in this area right here. Let's see, I can go up to 100% maybe. And you can see where it's starting to darken in. Let's go up here to the forehead, or maybe the eye is a good place to show you. You see how the eye can darken? But at the same
Is it
time,
effectively getting rid of haze as well?
yes, that's what it tends to do, is get rid of some haze. Okay, go ahead. If since I've done one brush stroke, you know my trick, Shift Command F lets you have this fade tool. Okay, and so the fade tool shows no effect, maximum effect, and so I can choose, since I've only used one brush stroke, where I'd like to stop it so that my eyeball looks like I want. If I would like to, say, darken the nose a bit, I'm going to go about to 50%, and you can see I can increase the local contrast in and around the nose, getting rid of that hazy kind of a look. Okay. Now, if I want to go and get rid of some of this stuff around the hairs, I've got to create a second layer that is on darken, and I'm going to do it more dramatically than the first one. So I'm going to paint this down. I'm going to bring up the blend diff with a double click. I'm going to split this one at the top, and I'm going to start to pull it down to see where those hairs are. So there are the hairs. Let's pull the other one down now. So that looks pretty good on the hairs. Let's say okay for that. Let's clean up these hairs. Let's clean up in this stuff. That was a little too much, but I can do my Shift Command F and bring it back because that's my fade tool. And back we come. We can just sort it out where it wants to be. And maybe I need to adjust my blend diff a little bit. Let's just try it. Let's say okay there. But if I come back over and use this double square looking thing in the layer to the far right and click it, it opens my blend diff back up. And so I can adjust the hairs a little bit better, refine it, in other words. so that I've got the hairs, but not the. So somewhere about in there might be a good spot. Okay, let's just call it there. If I come up here now, I can paint out this stuff. And you see it disappearing, leaving the hairs. Here we go again, leaving the hairs. Here we go. So we can go lickety split around here using this technique to clean up stuff. I know Graham was asking about this a while back. I mean, you got to take and, use your stamp tool to get rid of that. But if you're looking just to sort of do a quick cleanup, I may have it too strong. I probably usually run it about 20%, but let's come down here and look, see what we can do at the bottom with 20%. Not bad, not bad, not bad. You get the idea. Questions?
Bud, can I ask what you would do? You're using a black background there. What happens if you've got a multicolored sort of background or something like that? How would that work?
Use the clone stamp. It does the same thing.
Okay.
So use the clone stamp, stay in your gradient, and just adjust stuff next to it, and it'll work exactly the same way. But because most of our artifacts are light colored, our background is usually darker than that. So that's why the darken blend mode. If you have a background that's lighter and you're trying to get something darker, then you have to use the lighten blend mode. So you're using the lighter background as your source and you're lightening whatever's dark artifactually around the bug. Anybody confused? Questions, please.
Yeah, I was working on a crystal picture the other day. I'm trying to make a stencil for a project I'm working on. And the problem I was having was getting good edges, and this looks like it would work well for that.
It gives you that posterized look, but it seems to have some sort of interface that's softer than it would give you the impression it is.
Yeah, because what I want is sharp edges around my crystals so I can get a good image that I can convert to an SVG. And because otherwise I get like 500 paths. And so I try to get nice sharp outlines. And this looks like it might be able to do it that way.
So if we go and look at the bug back here and we use, I'm going to go to say 10% or thereabouts, 10%. Watch how I can darken this area selectively. You see how I can give local contrast because I'm protecting the whites. It's just another way of being able to bring things into the picture. But, that's quick down and dirty as it gets. And the difference is if I show you the original, there's the original. I want to darken the underbelly here. It's just a nice quick way of doing this sort of thing. Let's go take a look at another picture. How about a landscape, for instance? You guys never seen my stuff, I know. So this is in New Zealand. This was lying on the beach as I walked around with my view camera back in the day when I could do such a thing. So if we do the same thing, the blur mask, it comes out looking like this, okay? So if I make then with the same way I did it, select subject, and then use that select subject as a mask, you get something that looks like this. And now I can change the darkness of the background, but not the plane. And it doesn't have those hard edges, Julie. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's pretty quick using a depth map.
Yeah.
Question? No? All right, show you another one. Let's go to Arizona. Grand Canyon. So if we do a depth map of this, I've got it already as a smart layer. And so we'll go up to filter, neural filters. And we'll turn on our depth blur. And at this point, we get to choose where we want it. So up here, it says click to edit a focal point. If I want the focal point to be right here on the point of this rock on the left, I just click right there. And lo and behold, foreground's out of focus. The canyon's out of focus. Rock is in focus. My focal range is as narrow as it can be. If I want more in focus, I just move it up a bit. Move it up a bit more. I can get that whole rock in focus with the bushes as well. Do you see that? So now I've got this whole area here in focus. If I want to choose the background of the canyon to be in focus, I can click back there. And all of a sudden it's in focus, and I can bring the blur strength up. I can bring the focal range down, and I can blur out the foreground objects and just see into the distance. I think that's pretty cool. If you want to see what it looks like in the depth map, you come to this little box at the bottom that says output depth map only. And when you click it, you get this sort of an effect. Again, kind of a posterized gray looking thing, but this is what you get to work with.
Bud,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Just out of interest, presumably you can use a paintbrush and alter the mask yourself.
Glad you asked. If you go, let's say that we wanted to look at the output here. And let's say that we wanted this area in the foreground to be blacker so that it's not affected. How would we do that? So this is showing some effect. Let's say that we want to put a gradient on here where there's no effect at all, and we want to blur in the distance. So we would go and output as a new layer. Okay. I'm going to say okay. When you come over to the layers on the right here, let's see if I can make these bigger. Where do you do that?
It's showing up pretty well, bud.
Okay. So anyway, you've got a layer now, and I could add, you know, a curve to it. So let's just take us a curve, or I could add a gradient to it. But let's just show you how you can sort of, I guess, paint on it or change the contrast. So if I want to put a curve on there, I'm going to hold down the Option key so I can clip it just to that layer. I don't want to change anything else. And so now on that mask, if I hide that mask, then there's no effect. Okay. But then let's take the curve and make it more dramatic. There's a better way to do it. I'm just going to pull that dot off. Let's just bring the white up this way by bringing it over. And so we can really blow out the distance. So that's where all the effect's going to be, where it's the lightest. And we can bring the black in on the bottom if we want to. So now we've increased that contrast quite a bit. We can obviously paint on a mask with black paint and exclude any of this effect anywhere we want. So if we wanted to go to black paint, we've got a white mask. So anytime we paint on this with black, I got black, let's go to 100% on flow. So now I can start to paint in and make it darker. And so I can get less effect. I would expect it to have been darker than that, but be that as it may. If you take the same layer here, what I'm going to do is come up and make a, let's say, let's make a stamp just to play with it here. So I'm going to make a stamp. I made a stamp out of my layer, not what I wanted to do. Hang on. So let's take these two. And I'm going to put them in a group from layers. Okay. And so let's go to merge visible, hold down the option key. And it made a stamp again. Isn't that weird? Huh. Not sure why it's doing that. But anyway, yes, you can change this thing. If I go and make I turn this off and just make a stamp this way. Hang on, group one, option visible. I know you're hiding in here somewhere. There we go. So there's our stamp. And if we open this group, we know we can sort of drag things around. So if we take this layer 2, now the way I make a mask of this layer, since you can't make it any other way, is I make a luminosity mask using TK. So TK makes it real easy. You just go up here to this TK thing and you click on this. You know, it makes you a mask. You tell it, I want to see a curve. You click on the curve and what did it do? That malfunctioned as well. Interesting. Hang on, let me see what I'm doing wrong here, guys. Oh, I had it turned off. That's what happened. So let's kill that one. Layer 2, kill that one. I need to show this one. And now I'm going to make a mask of it. And now I'll make a curve. Hopefully this works. And it didn't. Well, that's not the way it's supposed to work. So anyway, let me go try a different picture here and see if I can make it work on another one. So this is down near Apalachicola, East Bay, oyster boats. So if we went up and did our neural filter and turned it on and looked at our depth map, it looks like so. So let's go and say, I'd like to click on a focal point, and I'm going to click on the sort of the front of this boat, the side of the boat. And so now my boat's in focus, and you can see all of the rest of the picture has been blurred out as if I've used a very narrow depth of field. It's kind of a
When
cool way
your
to do it.
focal
Go ahead.
range is down on 0, does that mean none of it's in focus?
No, that just means it's the minimum that you can achieve. If I go to maximum, see, I've got it as far down as it'll go, and still the boat's in focus. I assume
Is
this
it-
is full screen, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the boat is in focus when it's on 0.
Yeah, it
It
does.
looks sharp on my screen, but let's see.
look sharp.
So I've increased the focal plane a little bit. Is that sharper for you, Alan?
Yeah, a lot sharper on this studio monitor.
Huh. Well, I've got a big one, but I thought it was pretty good on mine, but let's see.
Does anybody else think that?
No, it looks sharp to me on the boat, and
I mean, I can see the wood grain. Let's just,
Right, now I can, but when it was on 0, I couldn't.
oh, let's take it to 0 now.
Yeah.
See if it'll work.
Could you click the depth field? Output depth map only, and then play with the focal range?
It grays out when you do that. Watch.
Right, but now, oh, you can't
No.
do the adjustment and see
No.
what's going on there? No.
It grays out. So, all right, Alan, here we've got it where we
Look
can
at the
see.
stickers on the white pole. That's what I was looking at. I can't read them now, but when you bump it up just a hair, they come into focus to me.
Here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't the mask be black if it's in focus?
Yep.
I mean, I can see good textural content in here.
Yep. But again, your focal range is at 8 now, so I would expect that.
All right, so let's take our focal range back to 0,
Right.
which is now. It went out of focus a little bit. I agree.
Yep, it did.
Okay, fair enough. Good.
So you want to pick a range that is going to be in front and behind of the plane that you pick to get your subject the way you want it, right?
That's
Yes.
part of where the subject was, though. I mean, you're right on that.
Okay, right now I've clicked on the
There you
pole
go.
as my focus subject. So now let's back it all the way down. I didn't see it change. Did anybody else?
No, it's good.
So
Those
0
wire-like
still lets,
things.
still
But
lets your,
sorry, bud, I'm confused. If we're saying that the plane of blur is horizontal to the viewer and you've got a diagonal subject, I can't see how that would work.
well, it's gonna, the front of the boat's out of focus. See that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then it's in focus. And then it's out of focus again. So it's just taking a slice through that diagonal subject, I guess. Is that what you're asking, Graham?
Yeah. It's just it's slightly confusing that you can change the amount of depth blur, and then you have a horizontal subject. So, and what we said initially, or what you said initially, was that the depth of blur would be horizontal to the viewer. So that doesn't sort of make sense to me if you've got a diagonal subject.
Isn't it going to be parallel to the sensor?
Yeah.
The plane of
Parallel to
focus.
it's parallel to the screen, yeah, the camera sensor.
So it's right now it's a paper thin focal strip that's
Right through the middle of the boat.
oriented the same way the picture is.
Right. So if
And
we
as
go
you-
back, let's look at a distant boat.
I guess
So-
my question is, why are you leaving the focal range so low if that's going to put everything out of focus, essentially, except a sliver of the picture?
Well, let's take a look at the output depth map only. And this is with the narrow slip, and we're focused basically into the distance somewhere on these
No,
boats.
I thought you were focused on that horizontal white bar, which is the darkest thing in the picture there.
Well, I changed that. Now I see the second
Okay,
row.
sorry. My
See the
bad.
boats there with all the pilings?
Yes, sir.
So that's
Sorry, I
now
didn't
made
see you
this
do that.
foreground boat out of focus. I did it so we could look at the water to see the horizontal plane of
Okay.
what the narrowest focal limit would be.
But sorry to interrupt. I'm still
Yeah,
confused.
no. Yeah,
When you showed us, when you're showing us the grey image there, surely if you're selecting an area that should be in focus, surely that should be pure black, and then gradations from that down to your out of focus area. So I don't understand why it's mid grey and not black.
nor
It's
do I.
not quite how that works.
Yeah, I think it's working differently because there's something with the depth map. Remember when I did a selection and it came out all white when you tried to make a mask? Something's different about the depth mask is the way it works. So it's not just black and white, so to speak.
Hey,
No.
Bud,
Yes.
do you have a photo of a focusing target? Something like this? It might be easier to define what's going on as to where you put your mark on the image, and then be able to actually measure, because you'd have actual numbers you could look at.
Yeah, I don't.
My understanding is that the AI calculates the depth map, and if you turn that on, can you click that output depth map only? So we can see the depth map
You
again.
can turn the depth map into a channel,
So
and you can have a foreground channel and a background channel, and you use that to do other adjustments with. This depth map was originally started, I think, with the iPhone, and also there was a little specialty camera out that was square that would do it in a depth sort of configuration. And you had to have special software to adjust it, but it made everything a little bit more three-dimensional.
This doesn't appear to be selecting depths.
Well, it's trying to.
It's trying to, you can also do it by hand if you wanted. You could just select and make your own depth map,
Yeah, you
you
can
know,
paint
just by
on it.
selecting sections.
Mhm. Anyway, it doesn't seem to be just a black and white pixel image. It seems to have
Right.
some other algorithm going on, Alan. So I don't know. It's choosing depth and then it decides how you're going to apply that depth.
Yeah, it's
So the
kinda like
black to
using-
white is not really the way we expect a mask to work.
Yeah,
No, it's a map, and the darker is closer, white is farthest, and then when you select your target, you're selecting a gray value for the focus algorithm or the blurring algorithm to be centered at.
That makes more sense. Yeah. So you're selecting
And
the
then it applies that blurring based on the distance of the tone from wherever you set your target.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it's kind of like the
So
luminosity mask where you're getting the brighter and darker areas. So like this is showing the more in focus, less in focus. In a gray.
what's interesting is it looks like the birds on the piles are wrong depth wise.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you set your target to that darkest bird, if the foreground would then be in focus.
All right, try
See
that.
what I'm
bud.
saying?
This bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put your target right on that one. You got to turn your depth map off. Yeah. That didn't change that. Turn the depth map off.
Now again, the focal range is not.
Yeah, the
It's
boat's
still on
not as
zero.
yeah, the boat's not as in focus as it was.
No.
No, I've got this. I
So-
got the second row of boats. I can focus
Right.
wherever you want. I can focus on the motor in the front or the tower. You know, let's focus on the wooden thing that keeps the guys from getting water spray on them early in the morning. So you can see this is in focus, and now the whole line with the birds is out of focus, basically. And the depth map,
is in focus.
and the depth map hasn't changed. Does that make sense? You see?
Doesn't make sense to me.
No. So this is not a mask yet.
Yeah,
This is just a depth map. It's whatever the math that Photoshop is trying to show us as best I can figure.
I guess I don't understand how it is mapping that bird at those three upright posts as being closer than the boat.
It may not be. That's
Zoom
what
in on
I'm
that
saying
little
is-
bird, could you?
it might be
Yeah,
a
Yeah, the
perceived
visual
sharp-
of what we're seeing is not what the map ends up doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
It might be perceived sharpness and contrast. You know, it is looking for the hard edges, and those birds may be a harder edge than the water, so they're showing blacker.
Because that one looks like it's almost in focus if you zoom in on it.
it does.
Right.
This bird,
Yeah.
Turn off the depth map display.
Yeah.
Look at
Weird.
that. So the depth map is the grayscale indicates how far away it is from the.
well, you might understand that I do play around in Photoshop, and I may have added that bird.
Well, the AI found it.
It did.
A
I'm not
question.
saying I did, but it's a possibility.
So if you change your target to the farthest boat back, and then zoom in on that bird again, he'll be out of focus and the other ones will be close.
Say again then, Larry, what is when we're looking at the depth map output, what are we actually seeing as
You're looking at what the AI thinks is the distance from the sensor, and black would be at the sensor and white would be as far away, infinity, essentially. And it tries to figure out, based on using AI, where stuff is.
boy, it's not
And then
getting
when you select the
close.
target, you select a grayscale value that says, here's where I want to be in focus.
Anything that's this far from the sensor should be in focus.
And as the gray, well, you're
Yep.
selecting a gray value. And then it used that to apply the blurring algorithm based on how far away the gray in the depth map is from your target gray.
That I understand. So the fact that the focal range is on 0 would imply to me that there is nothing that's actually been selected as a grayscale value.
Well, it would be a very small amount, whatever that is. They don't tell us,
What's the
but
maximum?
it's
Focal range?
Surely the when you select it, AI is selecting the subject, and AI is selecting what it thinks is in front and what thinks is behind. It's not the distance from the sensor as such, but it's the distance from the focus point that AI selected as the subject in
no,
this case. No?
that's not. No, the AI, turn on the depth map, please. So the closest thing in that image is the blackness, regardless of where your focus plane was. So it's not detecting focus in the AI. It's detecting distance or
Near to
depth
far is all
from.
I'm saying, yeah.
Now, does that particular map, what you see on the screen now, does that change if you were to change the focal range to the max?
It does not. That depth map doesn't change at all.
That's
The
raw
AI
data.
does that. The AI has chosen that depth map.
There's also another button called Focus Subject. When you click that one, it basically is
It'll
going to decide where the boat is, seems to be the subject. You see how it's selected the boats, all of them? But look at the
Does it have
water
a
over
map?
here. It's not selected.
Does it have a mask? To see where it picked.
This is just a button that you can put here, right? You know, but look
Yeah.
how it has decided that the posts, the distant boats, the foreground boat are all the subject. But yet, if you look at the water over here, that should be in the same plane as the subject, is not focused.
Just like select subject.
Yeah.
Same deal.
And if you look over on the grass, it's out of focus, but it's in the same plane. So
No, it's not in the same plane. Those
I
are
mean,
farther away.
right, but if
Focus
you
up on
look,
the shore.
if you look at the boat coming straight across, you would think this would be in focus if it were doing
Yeah.
just horizontal. So it's actually done some sort of an oval that collected all of this information.
Can you show the depth map again? That changed.
Yeah. And lighter, or is that a visual?
Well, the bottom of the boat, yeah, is now lighter.
Well, that might be a visual trick on your eye.
Well, let's take what we have here to play with it. Let's just say we're going to make it into a new layer and see what options that we have. So here's our new layer. Okay. I would like to have this as a mask. So it won't do it just by command clicking on it. And I don't know why. If somebody knows why, please, let me know. But what I do know is I can
Well,
make
it doesn't have any
using
pixels on it, but it's a depth map.
right, but watch what happens if you go to TK. You can make a
Right, it
select.
goes into luminosity because it's a luminosity filter more than a
Right.
black and white filter.
But a command click ought to give you a luminosity mask, and it does not.
Right.
So if we come up here and click on this and tell it we want to have us a curve. So here's our curve, and here is the luminosity mask. You see it? Here is the curve, and if we turn off what we used to make that mask, we see the picture. And now as we darken stuff, it ought to darken everything but the boat.
Hmm.
It's darkening the boat a little bit because the boat wasn't jet black, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But you see how it's selectively, and it doesn't make hard edges, which is why I think that it could do real useful things in our bug photography and some of our photography, because it's using AI to sort of figure out where things are and making sort of a gradient to help us get rid of stuff.
Why is it adding a sepia tone to the background?
Yeah. Because I did it in sepia. So as I darkened it, it gets darker.
Oh, okay.
And you know, that's just something I did. This is one of them I had done, but it's a very
got it. Okay.
light colored sepia. Okay.
Yep.
So let's try something different. So let's look at a stamp. So this was a stamp that you know, shoot a stack of it because it helps it to hold flat, and then you know, you merge it with some writing behind it to make it look fancier, and you know, you come up with a piece of art kind of stuff because you use blend modes to make it all merge together. But this is the kind of thing you can also use that uh, uh, mode on. Let's see what happens if we do a flat subject, right? That's what I was putting the stamp in here for. So let's take and duplicate the layer that we have. And I'm just gonna turn it into a smart object because it's what I like to do. Turn off the other one. Let's go into our filter, our neural filter. And let's turn on the depth blur. And let's see what it looks like. We get something that looks like that. Let's turn off the subject. And let's see what happens now. Okay. And so our focal range, let's move into the picture a bit. So you can see as I go further away, it's actually going further away from what would be the camera sensor, because look how far my focal distance has moved from 0.
Right.
Okay. Now, as I come back in my focal range, that's blurry. So I'm going to increase my distance again. That looks pretty sharp to me. I guess he's not quite so sharp. Let's see if we can increase our range now. So we're bringing all of that into focus. Let's see what our depth map is going to look like. It just looks gray. So in this instance, let's go to focus subject and see what our depth map looks like. And we can see that it has sort of selected out the stamp as a gray color, and everything else looks a bit dark. So in this instance, it hadn't really helped us very much. All right, let's take a look at another one. This is another stamp. I guess I have to say okay. Okay. So here's another stamp that I did. This was an old 1/2-cent stamp. Went to an antique store and they had 600 envelopes with stamps, and you know, they're all marked up, but there were like 30 stamps in each envelope. And the guy wanted $1 an envelope. I offered him $25 for the lot, and he took it. So I got more stamps than God. If anybody wants stamps, let me know. But what I was trying to do is these stamps have postage marks, but if you've got 20 stamps of the same thing, the postage marks are going to be in different places. So if you align them and put them in layers, you can use Photoshop to end up with a perfect looking stamp, which is what I did. Right? So even though they have postmarks, this looks like a pristine stamp. It's just all lined up and merged. Let's see what happens if we go and do something with a neural filter on this flat one just to see the difference. Turn on the beta, focus on the subject. See, this one did something different. We have a gray that we can actually do something with because we could select subject now, right? So let's output it to a layer. Let's go up to select and select subject. And it should pick out the stamp. And it did. Now let's take, because we want the background, so I'm going to change the thing to the background. So Shift Command I or Shift Control I perhaps. And so now I have a selection of basically the background. So let's go and put a curve on it just to show you what we can do with the background. And so if we turn off that layer we used to make that, here's what our stamp looks like. See how nicely it selected it? And so now we can do it just like any other mask, and we can darken the background, whatever we wanted to do, and it's not going to affect the front at all. So you can make it brighter, you can make it darker. You know, you can change the whiteness of the background. So anyway, it's another way of making a mask that's pretty quick in its own right. So let's see what else I've got here. Let's try a portrait. So we've got this guy. Let's see what happens if we make a neural mask of a portrait kind of a guy. So if we come up here and say neural filter, and we turn it on in the beta, and we focus on the subject, our output mask is going to look like so. Not bad. So let's say, okay, let's make this more black and white because he's gray and I'd like him not to have any changes. So let's put a curve, and we're going to clip it by using the Option key or the Alt key, I guess, to this thing. So let's take our black point and bring it up, and we can see what's turning black. And we can bring our white point up, and we have a pretty quick and easy. I mean, you can see, look at the hair on top of his head, you know? Not bad, huh? So now that we have this, let's see what we can do with the actual picture. So let's see if we can make a stamp out of this whole thing. Let's see, layer 2. I want to click on this because I would like to make a mask. I'm going to use my luminosity mask creator, and I'm going to create a curve. Okay, let's turn this one off. There's my curve. Let's turn this one off. So now I've got a curve. I've got a mask. This is my mask. And I can take this curve now and I can darken down the background behind him. Let's see, am I doing anything? I got to turn it on, sorry. Turn this one. Hang on, I got ahead of myself here. Let me just toss this away and start over because I did something wrong. Okay, so we have this gizmo. We want to make it contrasted. The other way to make it contrasted, you don't have to do an adjustment layer. You should be able to come up an image and adjustments and levels. And our levels, where is it? Here it is. There's, oh, here somewhere. And you can take the levels and do the same thing. You know, you're just adjusting the mask. You don't have to use a dedicated layer. All right, so once we get this thing done, we say, okay, now we're going to make our luminosity mask. We're going to set it with a curve. And now we can adjust the curve, turn that one off, and we should be able to darken things down around him all the way to black.
That's pretty cool.
So I think there's some potential. I haven't played with these depth masks all that much, but I thought it was worth at least, showing the group to see, who can do what with it. It sounds like Diane has had more experience making some. You want to show us how to make channels or anything?
I've made a somewhat of a step-by-step thing for me to go through when I do it.
You do it
So
by making just selections and save the selection as a channel?
yeah,
Okay.
so I take I turn them into like a foreground or a background, and then I can then select each part to make the luminosity mask do what I want.
Okay.
So it'll that's just for separating subjects from the background mostly.
Well, if we wanted to take this guy, let's try something here. Let's take and I'm going to make a stamp. So basically it's going to be a picture of everything that's below it. So it's all sitting here as if we had flattened it, but it's as a layer. And we know that we can take a mask, and if I drag this mask, I can hold down the Option key and drag this mask up here, and it'll add that mask to that layer. Okay, so you can drag any mask to any layer. You can do it either by moving it, just grabbing it, but then it's gone from where you had it, or you hold down the Option or Alt key and you make a copy. Okay, so I made a copy. So once we have this, now we can take this layer, and let's say that we would like to perhaps blur that background. So if we go up to filter and we come into blur and we go to Gaussian blur, we can pretty much, do what we want with this blur. We can bring it back down some so it's more realistic, but we can select this guy as if we really want to see his face more. Can you appreciate that?
Yeah.
I mean, I can increase the blur way up, way beyond, but it really isolates that background so that you can kind of have it where you're using a 1.4 lens and grabbing this guy, So that is the blur versus the non-blur. It just helps to bring him into focus, and you can do the same thing, with the head of a bug, or make the transition on a focus stack much more believable. So that's what I have. So I'll stop sharing. You have anything, Alan?
No, I've actually, while we've been talking, I have an unsuccessful focally isolated bug face that I've often looked at it and tried to figure out how to make it into a better picture, and this might be able to do it, but I wasn't getting anywhere with it. Maybe I'll drop it over in Google Drive real quick, and you can grab it and take a look at it.
Tell me what it'll be titled, because there's several over there that just have numbers. It doesn't tell me what they are.
Yeah, let me export it first. I'm going to undo everything that I've done. Go back to the original. All right.
Well, I'd like to know, if you guys play with this, how you end up using it, because I think it has some potential, especially in our macro world, and I just have barely scratched the surface on it.
I'll send you some, bud.
Okay.
Is that a beta feature?
It is in my, I don't know what, I think my version of beta of the beta Photoshop is still up, but this is still beta in Photoshop 2025. So the latest edition of the published version, not the beta version of Photoshop. So it still looks like it's in beta.
Maybe that's why it didn't work with some of your features.
It could be, but I don't necessarily blame the program as much as you've heard the term PEBCAC.
No.
Possibly exists between keyboard and chair.
All righty. Take just a few seconds, sir. It's called the focal B.
I'll find my Google Drive. It gets lost.
We've got an AfterStack page there, don't we? Yeah, there it is.
As soon as here it is. There's one called AfterStack 2. That's where I'm gonna go to here. Let's see what's there.
All righty.
What'd you title it?
Focal B.
All right, I'm gonna look at
And
the
it's
other.
a PNG.
Okay.
And it is in.
Hang on.
Okay.
It may not have arrived yet.
It arrived. It's just not in the correct file yet. For some reason. Probably because I'm doing it.
Well, I have my Google Drive open.
Yep, I'm moving it to that file right now. My goodness, I got a lot of files in this thing. Unfortunately, I have 1,000 images called Blowfly right in front of where I'm trying to get to. Almost there. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Okay, it's in AfterStack now.
And I just refreshed and I still don't see it.
It's upload is complete and move is complete.
Oh,
Now it's in the folder called AfterStack.
yeah, that's where I am.
Okay.
I'm refreshing.
And it's
Here it
called,
is. Just showed up. Focal
okay,
B.
great. Focal B.
All righty. So let me get back into here.
See, when I just tried to use that the depth map a little earlier, it would give me some of the face of the bee, but it wouldn't give me the left compound eye, even though it's kind of on the same plane as the rest of the face.
How do you, let's see, how do I download this thing?
Click on it.
Here it is. Got it. I got it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back into share, I guess. And I'll go share this, share, then go into downloads and open downloads and Focal B, open with Adobe Photoshop. Is that it?
That's it. Well done.
Oh,
Hard
on the
work.
hot seat there. All right, so let's take first off and duplicate it like, go through my standard here just so we don't lose anything. And tell me what you would like to do, Allan.
I don't know. I mean, I look at it and the background is just too distracting, and I've tried removing it, and then it looks
All right, let's go into neutral filters and see if it has any benefit here. So here's our blur.
It's doing exactly what I was running into. Is the left eye is not included in what would become the mask unless I add it.
Okay, well, let's just see. We've got a depth map. this is on focus subject. So let's go back out of the depth map and see if we can perhaps click on a focal point. So I clicked on the left eye, as you can see, the blue dot up here in the little picture.
Mm-hmm.
And let's increase our focal range to get more in focus. You tell me when it looks right.
Well, I was just trying to isolate the head, and I guess that wing is going to have to come with it.
No, it doesn't. I'll show you. So let's just take a look at our depth map. You see, it really hasn't changed. We have the eyes are the same shade of gray. The nose is closer. The antennae are closer, but let's take it and output it as a new layer. Here's our new layer, okay? So what can we do to that new layer so that we can get more in focus and more out of focus stuff? Well, one of the things that we can do is we can paint on this, can we not? And let's go get us a paintbrush, but we're going to do something with that paintbrush since this is now, let's find out if it's a pixel layer or not. You know,
It's a depth map right now.
It's a what? Depth
It's
map.
a depth map right now.
But
Yeah,
let's
but
just
still
try,
treat it as a pixel layer.
let's try something.
Could you just rasterize it?
Hello.
I'm gonna take this down. I'm at 1%. Somebody's talking. We're good? I'm at 1% on my brush. I've changed my blend mode to hard mix, which makes things either black or white. There is no gray. So if I come in here and start painting, let's get a little bit more impetus here. I can make things turn darker.
Now, does that mean that you are making that eye now in focus?
Well, let's find out. What I'm doing is making a mask. Okay, this is now a layer, but I'm going to turn it into a mask. And so I want this mask to act like a mask to see if we can control it a little bit.
But out of interest, would the remove tool work in on this depth map? If you just took the area on our right that Alan was talking about, the distracting legs, and just removed it, would that work?
Let's find out. Okay, so we go up to where's the remove tool? Probably here. Isn't that the remove tool right there?
It's one of those. If you expand that tool selection, it'll be the third one down, I think.
I think it, for some reason they're separated on mine, but the one with the little stars, I believe, is the right thing. I just need to get the brush bigger. Go away. So we make the brush bigger and we just paint this area and see if it'll take it out. Not a great job.
Very me.
But let's take and just paint it with white paint. Why not, right? Let's get out of that. Get the paintbrush. So remember the paintbrush, if you have it set over here at the top to hard mix, it's either black or white, right?
Okay.
So let me go take it to 100%. And so basically we can get rid of it if that's what you want. Now, what we're doing is destroying some of the benefits of the depth map because we just turned it into a mask.
Right, which is kind of the issue is now we're going to have a complete instant cutoff from in focus to disappeared.
So what I want to do is to go back.
Could we use a gradient to apply the focus in a gradual declining range? I guess
we can, but let me finish this if I can, and then we'll go back. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So what we've got selected is this layer with what looks like a depth mask. We're making a luminosity mask out of it. We're going to turn it into, let's just turn it into a curve for the moment. We're going to turn off the layer that we used to make the mask. So we're back here. So what we have is some darkening effect into the background. As you can see, we can take it to extremes, right? But since we have a mask, we can also paint stuff onto it. So if we painted black on it, we would keep it. If we started painting white on it, we could sort of move it out of the range. What happens if we did a blur filter? Let's try that. So I'm going to go and make a stamp. So I have a stamp. I'm going to make it into a smart object just so we can change things around. I'm going to go to filter and I'm going to choose a blur filter. And let's go to Gaussian. And now we can choose to blur everything behind this head quite a bit. And
You're not having
remember, I'm going to move this mask up. So let me cancel this for the just say okay for the moment. I'm going to take this mask. I'm going to hold down my Option or Alt key, I guess, and I'm going to bring it up here. So now then what we have is the head's going to be protected. I'm opening up my Gaussian blur again, and let's blur the background quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we can do is say, well, let's have some more blur in this area over here. So if I get a white brush, I ought to be able to do that, right? So let's get the white brush. Let's get some my opacity up, my flow. Let's make it maybe at 30 or 40%, 34%. I'm getting a paintbrush on the mask. And let's, I've got the wrong color. Let's put the white on there because we want the blur to show through. And we can blur out that mask and have it look sort of realistic like that, Alan. What do you think?
Yeah, that's much closer. How about, can you turn a radial filter into a mask?
Yes.
So that you get gradually, you can control the rate of transition to blur.
Okay.
So that you can just dial in how quickly the background blurs out.
Okay, so to do that, I'm going to have to mask the mask. Do you remember how I told you how to do that? I'm going to make a group out of this. So I'm going to make a group. I guess new group from layers. That's what I'm looking for. And we'll just say, okay, we don't have to name it or anything, but if we close this group up now, then we can put a mask on this. And if we make a selection that is a round one, an ellipse, got to move us guys out of the way. Where do you want the ellipse to become around that?
Just around its, around its head, so that the gradient would expand out from a center point between its eyes.
Something sort of like that?
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine.
Okay. And so if we make this into a mask, what we would like to do is to have it feathered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's make a mask first. There's our mask. And you can see that it's sharp. If we double click on the mask, we're entering select and mask. And so this sharp edge over here, we want to feather that edge. Something sort of like that, maybe. I don't know.
Except that beyond the edge of that oval,
Yeah.
everything should be out of focus.
Right. Let's see. Let's go back and see. We just doing the mask at the moment. Let's see what happens. If we say okay, and we go back here. So the question is why isn't our Gaussian blur being a seam? Anybody know?
What if you extended that oval mask to being off the edge of the image? So it covered the entire image. And I think when you do an oval, you can adjust the transition.
Okay.
Why would you not just use a black to transparent gradient using the gradient tool in Photoshop, and that use that black to transparent as your mask?
You talking to me?
Yes.
I mean, I was trying to do it with your thing. Let's see. If we go back
I'm just
here,
trying to think of an easy way to do it, and that's a tool I use a lot. And if it could be, if that gradient could be turned into a gradually receding mask, then I could get the effect I was looking for.
I think I see
Yes,
what-
that should work.
You think that will work, Larry? Okay.
Yes, I've used it with portraits. Just create a new mask and put a paint on the mask with a radial gradient.
Okay. So
And then apply that's where you would apply the blur.
got it.
And what do you want me? I'm not understanding what you're asking me to do. Say it one more time.
Well,
Take me
no,
step
I
by
was
step.
just the method I was talking about was using a radial gradient to determine the parameters of your mask, and then to apply the blur to that to the picture and use that mask to feather it in.
You're talking about this mask or a different mask?
Well, make a new mask.
Okay, so I've got a new mask on the group. Where do you want the mask to be?
Well, that's what I don't know, is how all of this this focal blur, like the depth map business, interacts with that.
Well, let's just try something. Let's just use paint. If we use black paint, what's going to happen? So if we use black paint, I guess I need I need to be out of hard mix, of course. That may have been the problem. So if I use black paint, we can bring the wing back in. Okay.
Okay.
So you would like to use a gradient where? Down at the bottom or in the top?
No, the way I was thinking of it was maybe not for this particular image, but if I had a gradient where at the center of the gradient there was no effect, and as the gradient darkens to the outside or lightens to the outside, whichever way you put it, the blurring increases so that you can determine the point at which it starts and how quickly it becomes totally blurred out using a gradient. That's all I'm saying is could you use that? And Larry says we can. I just need to try.
So here's our gradient. I've selected a round gradient.
Okay.
And so if we put it in the center and we start moving it toward the outside.
Mm-hmm. You could move it all the way to cover the whole picture. The idea being that it will give you control of the amount of blur as you go out, but the depth map part keep it right in the center of the head so that it's, yeah, right, exactly. And then expand it to cover the whole of the frame. Okay, that's good. And then apply it.
Okay.
So which gradient did you pick? Black to clear or black to white?
It's black to white.
Okay.
You want black to clear?
Well, we want the I guess it amounts to the same if it's a mask. Yeah.
It's already black to clear.
All right. Now, if you were to to activate that, then the mask should give gradually more blur as you get to the outside. My question is, does this depth map allow us to protect the antennae so that they don't blur out with the...
Pinky, no.
Pardon?
Sorry.
Oh, hmm?
Sorry.
I asked you not to call me that in public.
Okay, so I've done what you've asked, but I'm not sure where we're going. You know,
Yeah, that's working great.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, I've got my own question answered. Is for some reason the antennae are protected from that. You see, I
Right.
wouldn't expect them to be. I would expect that the parameter that matters is the distance from the center of the gradient, but all of the antenna is protected because of the depth map, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
You also have control because on that gradient, if you go in and show that, there's a
Feather
diamond that you
and
can move the center point.
You see, that actually is starting to be something I could work with on that picture. I like that, bud. Yep. And then, yeah, I need to practice. Larry, do you have a feel for how you would combine these two modalities to get what you're looking for, as far as using a gradient to apply blur and then using the depth map to protect subject?
Not with the depth map. I think, you know, when we're in it now, the depth map thing is gone. It's now just a mask. And I think the reason the antenna is being protected is because it's part of a group. But the way I use the gradient for blurring, I would duplicate the layer, apply like a Gaussian blur to whatever I wanted my maximum blur to be. And then I would use the gradient as a mask to the blurred layer.
Got it. Got it. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So that controlled the blending of the blurry layer and the sharp layer.
Yep. Okay.
And you could
Understood.
use a linear gradient or
Sure.
a radial gradient, whatever you wanted to do to get the effect you wanted.
Understood. Okay. Good. Okay, that makes sense.
On
Very
that-
interesting. So really, the only application of the depth map in this particular case was to set the mask, to make the mask.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you could use that layer with the depth map. You could use that in the lens blur filter, because you can pick a depth map to it.
Interesting.
Let me see if I have one.
Is that the only blur tool that you can connect a depth map to?
As far as I know, yeah. I mean, you can always convert it. You could use that mask as a mask to a manually blurred layer.
Mm-hmm.
if you're asking me to do something, I'm not sure. You have to let me know.
No, I was just getting some additional information from Larry on how he uses this.
Well, it's pretty much time's up, guys, but what do you think? Useful stuff, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly think it's worth exploring some. I mean, this is it's an interesting twist.
Yeah, I see it as kind of like Dan said, like it's a luminosity type of mask, except it's a focusing mask. So you kind of, tweak the areas in focus as opposed to the brighter or darker areas. So it's another way of selecting parts of the image.
Cool. Well, fantastic job, Bud. Before we go, for those of you who are interested in photographing crystals, especially birefringent crystal photography, there is going to be a new group on my channel. We're going to meet once a month on Fridays at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the second Friday of the month. So the first one will be on I think the 8th of August, whatever the Friday of the second Friday of the month is. That's when it will be. And I will be sending out an invitation through the blog post that week. And I encourage you to come and bring some crystal pictures with you. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's being co-hosted by Harold Hall. And yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. So if you're interested.
Do you want me to save this stack and put it back on the Google Drive for you?
No, sir. You can discard it. I've
Awesome.
been making copious notes, and I am going to replicate it myself right here.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much,
well,
everybody, for coming.
Hope it didn't
Well
bore
done,
you.
Bud.
Oh, this
Well,
is
Allan?
really interesting.
Interesting.
Yes, Mike.
Hey, Alan,
Yes, sir.
thank you for the crystal, the Friday thing. That is great. I used
Good.
that email you sent me and it bounced back. Could you verify his email for me?
Oh, I will. I'll send it. Oh, it bounced back from that.
Yep, that one you gave me.
Yeah, MOO and
Yep.
etc. Okay,
So-
let me send you another one.
Okay,
Right,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Graham and Nick, did I answer your questions eventually?
Yes, I think so. It's very interesting, Bud.
How about you, Nick?
Yes, good. Thanks, Bud. Because I want to go into this more. I think as a smart selection, it trounces that tool in spades. So I want to have a play with this.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
And Julie, if you find anything in astrophotography, let us know.
No, yeah, but actually I've been playing with the crystal that I've been working with using this, and I got a better mask to start with. And so I'm trying to make a raster file so I could cut a stencil that will basically overlay my crystal, because I'm doing a multimedia thing. So I need to get a nice SVG file that doesn't have 500 million paths for the cutter to cut. So
Sounds good.
Graham, did
Thanks,
you
Alan.
get-
this worked
Thank you,
faster.
Bud.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Graham, quick question. Did you get an email from me yesterday, sir?
I did. I didn't respond, but I will be there.
Okay, fantastic. That's all it was to get some ideas and thoughts on how to.
I'll bring some details as well if I can.
Perfect. That would be awesome. I was hoping you would.
Can I show you a
Thank you so
picture,
much.
everyone? Is that
Yes.
bad? Just for fun. Took it yesterday. Thought you might like it. Got it?
Oh,
Wow, look
bravo.
at that.
That's
Wow.
yeah, hummingbird hawk moth. That is a single image at f2.8. Anyway, there we are.
Wow.
Just
What a
I've only had
lovely
a chance to
photograph.
do 1 out of 5,000, so
That's
Um,
marvelous.
I'm trying
That's
to get out of this
absolutely
now.
beautiful.
That's a
you.
beautiful one, Graham.
Thank you
Well
very much.
done.
Nice.
Awesome photograph. Awesome. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thank you, Bud. Great program. Very, very educational and interesting.
Thanks, Bud.
You're
Yeah.
most welcome.
See you
Very
guys
nice.
next
Thanks.
week.
Thank you, Bud. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah.